We're always told that getting smart is this super long, hard journey. But what if that's not really true? What if it's way, way simpler than we think? Today, we're going to break down a really straightforward way to build actual intelligence, and it all starts with one big question.
Seriously, think about it for a second. When you are staring down a problem that could change your entire life, what's your gut reaction? We all kind of have this fantasy of how we do it, but the real way to get to a solution, well, that's usually a whole different story.
So you've got two paths. On one side, there's the knockout. This is the fantasy, right? The one big win that just fixes everything in a single moment. And on the other side, there's the knowledge path. This one's a little more patient, a step-by-step process of actually building skills. Let's start with the fantasy, the knockout path, because it's a great story.
Okay, so let me tell you about this guy named Hulku. He is in a really, really tough spot, facing a problem that feels absolutely impossible. And to top it all off, he's got this massive threat just hanging right over his head. Yeah, the pressure is on. The village chief basically gave him an ultimatum that's not just about money. It's about his entire reputation, his dignity. He is totally backed into a corner, and he needs some kind of miracle, that one knockout punch to get him out of this mess. And then, just like that, a little glimmer of hope shows up. A wrestling competition gets announced, and the prize? A whopping 5 crore rupees. That's 50 million rupees. This is it. This is the one-shot, high-stakes win that could solve every single one of his problems instantly. And in a perfect fairy tale ending, Hulku enters, he beats some giant wrestler, and he wins. Poof, problem gone. It's so clean, so simple. But it's a total fantasy. In the real world, our problems almost never get solved that easily.
Okay, so let's leave the sables behind and get into the real world and the real challenge of actually getting smart. Because we're usually handed a very specific and honestly a very broken path to intelligence.
We're all told to follow this formula, right? This long, exhausting marathon of school. It's a path that promises we'll be smart at the end, but so often it just doesn't deliver the real-world success we were looking for. Let's be honest with ourselves. When we say we want to get smarter, we're not just talking about some abstract idea. We want skills that are actually useful, the ability to solve problems in the real world, and yeah, the confidence that comes from knowing what you're talking about. And when we go looking for shortcuts to get there, what do we find? Usually a list of brain hacks that look a lot like this. And look, these things aren't bad for you, but they completely miss the point. To get smarter, you actually have to learn stuff. So what is the real path then? Well, it starts with a tool that's been around forever, reading. But the real secret isn't just about the reading itself. It's about what you do with the knowledge after you get it. This slide just captures it perfectly. There are two ways to share what you know. On one side, you've got the, well, actually guy who uses knowledge to make himself feel superior. And on the other, you have someone who shares what they learned with genuine curiosity. The information is identical, but the way people react to it is completely different. And this is everything. This is the whole key. When you can share what you know in a way that makes other people feel smart too, you're not just seen as intelligent, you're seen as someone people want to be around. This is step one in turning knowledge into a real-world skill. But just knowing things is only half the battle. The real trick, the real challenge, is turning that information into a skill that you can actually use, a skill that stays with you long after you've put the book down. It all boils down to this thing called the forgetting curve. See, your brain is always trying to be efficient, so if you learn something and then you don't use it, your brain just assumes it's useless junk and deletes it. The rule is simple: use it or lose it. I love this analogy. Think about it. You can watch a million YouTube videos on how to tie a tie, but you will never, ever learn until you actually have the tie in your own hands, trying to make the knot yourself. Learning is not a spectator sport. It has to be active. So here it is, the simple 3-step framework to make knowledge actually stick. First, you learn the information. That's the easy part. Second, you go apply it immediately. This tells your brain, hey, pay attention, this is important. But what if you can't practice it right away? Well, that's where step 3 comes in.
You simulate it. You literally just play it out in your mind. Let's say you just read about how to jumpstart a car. If you can't go do it, you just vividly imagine every single step. And the crazy thing is, your brain fires the same neural pathways as if you were doing it for real. This mental practice makes the knowledge stick.
And this is exactly why things like practice questions for a test are so effective. They are a form of high-stakes simulation. By creating a situation where you have to remember the information, you're basically forcing your brain to see it as critical, need-to-know stuff. All right, let's pull all of this together. We've looked at two totally different ways to solve problems: the fantasy of that one-hit wonder knockout punch and the reality of a practical, repeatable framework. Holku's big win was this magic moment. It solved one problem, one time. This framework we've talked about, though, that's something way more powerful. It's a process you can repeat over and over again to build skills that will help you for the rest of your life. So if you only remember one thing from all this, let it be this. Getting smart isn't about some secret talent you're born with or some quick hack. It's about a system. It's about deliberately showing your own brain that the things you're learning are valuable and worth keeping around. So now you have it, this simple, three-step framework. Learn, apply, and simulate. The process itself is really straightforward, but what you can do with it is limitless. So the only question left is, what are you going to master first?